Hey Bit Squad, welcome back to the channel. Today, you guys are going to be listening to episode 22 of my podcast, Beards and Bitcoins. In today's episode, Jay Chains and I discuss market sentiment and whether or not maybe we finally have found the bottom and are ready to move back up.
Welcome back to your newest favorite podcast, Beards and Bitcoins, where BitBoy and Jay Chains get together each week to talk about crypto and things happening in the community. They will bring you some special guests and giveaways, so make sure you're subscribed. For all show-related news, you can find the guys on various social media outlets. Everything is listed on the official show Twitter account, @BeardsBitcoins. Now, without further introduction, two dudes that have beards, like Bitcoins, and want to talk to you about both, BitBoy and Jay Chains.
Hello everybody, welcome back to your favorite podcast. Here we are, episode number 22 of Beards and Bitcoins. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the market sentiment right now, what this possibly means for the short term, the next few months in crypto. We're going to really be looking at what that means. What does market sentiment mean? So those are the things we're going to be talking about. I am your co-host, BitBoy. This is your other co-host, Jay Chains. What is going on, Jay Chains?
What is up, my man? How was your week?
Dude, week has been pretty interesting. Had a lot of stuff going on. You know, I think we were talking a little bit on air. Like, I got this other football helmet business I'm doing that's going really crazy. Today was Valentine's Day, so took the wife out and
gotta do that. Gotta do that.
Oh, gotta take the wife out. You know, well, I'm like real bad about not doing like over the top things for Valentine's Day or for anything really. And we've been married 10 years. You know, your wife doesn't expect you to every year treat Valentine's Day like you were engaged, or something like that. So, so this is our 10th year. So we went, I surprised her though. So I got reservations at a nice restaurant. It's called Chop House here in where I live. And it's at the airport, not the Atlanta airport, but our local, kind of just city airport. Planes are taking off there all day, like small planes. And you get to go sit in this really nice restaurant and watch the planes through the big windows, and it was really cool. So she got really surprised, and then we went to get pedicures. You ever get pedicures, Jay Chains?
Oh man, I actually like going to get pedicures. A little weird. I don't let anybody clip my toenails. So like, if I know that I'm going to get a pedicure, I will clip my own toenails before I go. But yeah, so clearly you got a pedicure then. How was? How was it?
Oh gosh, my feet, I'm rubbing my feet together right now. They feel so good. So, dude, I got to a point where my feet were pretty bad. Like we were adding up. The last time we got pedicures was a year ago. And for a lot of dudes, it's whatever, you never get pedicures, but I like to get a pedicure and get my feet feeling good sometimes. And we went there and my feet, my heels were just so jagged with skin that I felt like when I walked on my carpet, I was going to rip my carpet open. Like that's how bad it was, And so I go in there and they start, working on my feet or whatever. About halfway through, they got to bring in a janitor and clean up, So it was rough. And then after that, I fell asleep. And apparently, while I was sleeping, every person in the whole place was making fun of me. Like I was out like a light. So that was just a couple hours ago. So I'm still trying to recover. So
drink that coffee. Well, man, that's pretty funny.
Diet root beer, caffeine free. Had a little pre-workout though.
Oh, there you go. That's how you get your heart started. Well, that sounds like a fun Valentine's Day. I had a pretty decent week. My weekend was pretty awesome though. My wife and I went to Vegas. We took like a last minute weekender to Vegas. It was her first trip. I've been there several times. It was awesome, man. I showed her everything we did. You go to the top of the stratosphere. Had yourself a drink up there. Went to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Saw the Bellagio fountain. I mean, we saw it all, man. I don't need to name everything.
The Bellagio fountains to me are the best thing in Vegas. When you're walking by and the Frank Sinatra music is playing and those things are going up and down, it's really impressive.
Yeah, man. You hear those jets go pop, pop, pop. So they kind of go along with the tune sometimes.
They go yeah, that's really cool. So one time I was there and I won a bunch of money gambling. And I just remember walking by and I had a fat stack in my pocket and I was like, man, I feel so good right now. Gambling's euphoric, when you're winning. And so I felt so good. And then all of a sudden that music turned on and those fountains started going up and down, man. I remember that. That was one of the best, moments of my life for sure. In terms of just feeling great. So
absolutely. Well, that's fun, man. And we ended up getting married, remarried in the back of a pink Cadillac at the little chapel, whatever it's called, up there by Fremont. So it was fun, man. We had a great weekend.
So interestingly enough, my brother got married at that exact same church.
I know. When I sent you that picture, you said that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan got married there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan or Michael B. Jordan?
Michael slam dunk on you.
Oh, Jordan. Okay. The GOAT, as I call him.
The GOAT. Yeah, well, absolutely the GOAT. I know we've had some conversations with people, I think, at a conference about the whole LeBron.
Yeah, that's Armando. Armando's actually going to be on the show Sunday.
Yes.
Right? So we got
we got some new stuff coming up, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah. So, and Armando and I and Andy from the Coin Boys are actually starting a sports podcast. Believe it or not.
Fun.
Surprise. I haven't even told you about this.
No, that's news. That's cool.
Yeah,
I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, so we're going to be starting here maybe in a couple weeks or something. So we don't have a name yet, but it's going to be cool. Like we're going to get around once a week and talk sports. So, but yeah, so I guess at this time, let's move on to our Monarch Twitter shout out, monarchtoken.io. But before we get to that, we got to talk about Monarch Token because they had some big news this week.
Big news.
Yeah, which is they have partnered with Celsius. You got some more details on that, Jay?
Yeah, so it looks like they're with that partnership. They're able to have in-wallet interest earning on your crypto. Yeah. If those the Celsius network partners. So, I mean, that's pretty 3 to 7%. That's not too bad, man. I don't know anybody else that's getting interest right now.
Oh no, I've used Celsius, and it is good. I think when I was doing it, which I'm not doing it right now, I've kind of moved some stuff around, but I was getting maybe 5% interest on Bitcoin and 7% on Ethereum, I think it was. But here's the thing about Celsius, which is cool, is they pay that interest every week. So every Monday morning, you get an email from them with your interest, and they're paying you in crypto, so it's like, you've been given, 0.01 Ethereum or 0.05 Ethereum, whatever it might be. So, definitely pretty cool. I'm very interested to see how they're going to pull this off to where you're going to be able to keep your crypto on Monarch and earn with Celsius. I'm very interested to see because the point of Celsius, it's crypto lending. And so basically what they're doing is they're taking your crypto and they're lending it to someone else and they're paying it back to you with a higher interest rate. So I'm just, if Monarch Wallet is, it's like cold storage on the blockchain, I'm just curious on how Celsius is going to be able to provide that interest, since I'm not sure how they're going to access your crypto to let someone else borrow it. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But I know that it's definitely a big, exciting partnership that's going on. I found an article that Crypto Beetle sent me about Monarch, and basically it's kind of like the biggest secret in crypto. Like, not everybody knows about it, but it's a bustling business right now, and getting ready for a lot of really cool stuff. So
yeah, sounds like it, man. It's exciting time. It's starting to see some big shifts in the market. I think that's one of the things we want to talk about is sentiment and kind of how we're seeing, reactions and interactions going lately with people, say on crypto Twitter and stuff like that. But
for sure. So let's get to our monarchtoken.io Twitter shout out. So who are you shouting out this week, Jay James?
I am going to shout out Journey to 100K. You can find him on Twitter at Journey to 100K _. And it's basically, if you go online to their website, it's journey to100k.org, I believe. And it's just, it's all about like making money online. It's resources and how to, make money, whether it's with crypto or start up an online business, or, just go on there and check it out. But it's the journey to make $100,000 and do it all through online. So shout out.
With crypto.
And a fellow Apollo Knot. But,
awesome. Well, crypto, it's easy. You basically just start with a penny and you double it every day, right?
That's the goal.
Isn't that how it works in crypto? That was a meme. That was a meme that was going around this week.
Hit those 10x. Oh, man, remember the days of like hitting like 10xers like almost every day?
Dude, I remember getting in on XRP, which I don't have anymore. I didn't really understand the inner workings of it, but I just remember getting in on it, and it wasn't, it was less than 20 cents. And all of a sudden I turned around, it was $1, and I was like, what? you know.
Woohoo!
So those are
Wild
good
time.
times. So
Anyhow, what about you? Who are you going to shout out today?
I'm going to shout out a collection of folks that some of them we've had on the show, definitely people that we like big time, which is CTMZ_live. So it's basically TMZ for crypto Twitter. It's very funny. Our friends Crypto Euclid and Mystical Oaks and Crypto Sanity, Crypto Tyson, like a lot of different guys. Albie are in on this. I hope I didn't forget somebody. Maybe Bitcoin Beggar also. But those guys are basically covering Twitter like it's Hollywood. And it's really funny. Like they're taking stories and narratives and, you know, they're dissecting it and they're having people on for interviews. And it's cool, you know, like it just makes it where, you know, we're so down the rabbit trail or the rabbit hole, not just with crypto, but also with the community. You know, we're a community podcast. And so we're so far down that rabbit hole that, like, you know, it's so interesting to us when we have these little nuanced stories going on, like crypto Twitter drama. You guys know I was in there was a big crypto Twitter drama thing I was in a couple months ago, but it's just cool to follow. And then those are also cool people just to listen to. So big shout out to them.
Awesome. Yeah, fun. They are definitely friends of the show.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I think we wanted to talk about a little bit before we get into the topic. We want to talk about some changes that are going on. So you want to talk about some changes we got coming to the podcast?
Oh, yeah, we're going to make some updates. We're going to take a couple times a month. One of the first things we're going to do is a couple Sundays a month. We're going to do a news show, right?
Yeah.
We'll bring you some action, some news. This first week, I believe Sunday coming up, just in a couple days here, we are going to have Bill from minds.com on. And we are going to talk about decentralization and social media, right?
Yeah. And Armando is also going to be on. So Crypto Turp.
And Armando, Crypto Turp.
Yeah, so he's going to be on. He actually uses minds.com, which is really interesting. He's the one who actually told me about it. So very, you know, just kind of one of those perfect storms of having people on. So yeah, we got some changes coming to the podcast. We're going to be trying to do a couple more shows a month right now. And, you know, eventually our goal is to get up to where we're doing maybe 2 shows a week, something like that. So hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys, you know, keep listening with us. And, you know, we got some cool giveaways coming up pretty soon. So you guys make sure you guys are listening out for that as well.
Heck yeah. And you know what? If there's something you want to hear us talk about, drop us a note.
Yeah.
You know, you can find us on Twitter. You can find us all over the interwebs. Just drop us a note.
We everywhere.
That's right. That's right.
So, well, let's get into our topic today. So basically what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about market sentiment and what that really means when it comes to charts, what that really means in terms of interest. You know, there's actually, I can't remember the name of, there's a social media crypto project that basically what it does is it aggregates all the social media mentions for different projects and ranks them every week. So you can actually go in there. I don't have the name of it. I can't remember, but you can go in and check it out and it'll show you all the different crypto projects that have been mentioned for that week. But, you know, the reason why I really wanted to get into this topic today was because I feel like the market sentiment may be changing right now as we speak. We had a giant green candle on Bitcoin maybe last week. And, you know, that candle, it seemed to do something for people. And you may say to yourself, like, okay, well, every green candle that we see doesn't do that to the market, doesn't make it bullish, right? What made this one specific green candle different than, you know, let's say a green candle we may have had in December? Well, the difference is because a lot of people were expecting February to be the month where we bottomed. They were expecting the end of January. If you go back and look at some of Bobby Lee, who is Charlie Lee's brother's predictions, he said if we followed the last market cycle, that we should basically bottom out at the end of January of 2019. Jay, what is the date today?
This is like mid-February. It's the 14th.
The 14th.
As of recording, it is the 14th.
It is the 14th as we're recording this.
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we're 2 weeks into February now, and so that green candle that we got last week, that shot way up from about 3,400 to about 3,700. Litecoin pumped really big, and a lot of projects pumping or whatever. I can never get my hat straight. I have to. If you guys are watching, like I always have a hard time getting my hat straight. But anyways,
it's okay. A little crooked.
Yeah. So I'm not a little crooked, just my hat is. but what that green candle really did is it showed people, I think, that it was confirmation in a lot of people's minds that we've already hit bottom. I've been pretty clear. I believe that we did hit bottom on December 15th of last year. And I think we're kind of in the midst of an accumulation stage. I've been saying that a pretty good bit. But a lot of people were waiting for this huge drop down under the threes. And I don't think we're going to get it. And so this candle, it came out of nowhere and it stayed very stable since then. So, I've been seeing people on Twitter that have been bearish for a long time, and it seems like that sentiment is starting to flip. So what have you kind of seen, maybe on Twitter or in the markets that would make you think that maybe we're actually starting to move forward instead of backwards for the first time in a long time?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I think what I think, it's like the volcano is like, it's kind of getting ready, right? It's like rumbling, all the
That's
underneath the earth it's just kind of rumbling. Like you're just seeing some movement, like, things pop like they weren't popping, it's not so much sideways. Like, yeah, there's some ups and downs, but like it's moving. The market is starting to move a little bit. I mean, nothing crazy, but it is exciting to see that. I know that, I've like an idiot, I've started paying more attention to my portfolio. I mean, not nearly as much, as years past, but I think that, remember what was that one GIF that everybody saw where you're checking the blockfolio like every second?
Or the Michael, I think it's Steve Carell where he's got like the thing that dogs wear around his neck, where they wear around their neck so they can't, if they're sick or whatever, so they can't scratch their head. And it's like a cone, the cone of shame, I think they call it. And he's got one of those and it said like, trying not to check my blockfolio, that meme. I mean, there's a lot of good memes out there for checking blockfolio, but none of us have wanted to check for a long time.
No, but I'm starting to, see, like I said, I feel the rumble. It's coming at some point. Like I still feel the same way. I think, we're still months away from anything happening, but it's more positive. It's not, you're not seeing like, a lot of salty people. You are, like you said, you're starting to see more positivity and just some more action.
That's a good point. I haven't even like when I was talking about market sentiment, I was talking about kind of bullish tweets, but that's a good point. It seems like Twitter has not been as salty the last couple of weeks. Haven't seen.
I feel like there's also some people that aren't even existing on Twitter right now. Whether they got bored or got a job.
I look at there was another podcast that was doing really well, Crypto Sky. He had a podcast. He's a young guy. I think he went off to college. He was in high school. He was 18. And he had some big name guests on there. We need to go through his podcast and find those guests and get a lot of those guests on here. But he had a lot of great guests on, and all of a sudden one day he just disappeared. I don't think anybody's heard from him in a couple months now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody hasn't, but he certainly hasn't done a podcast in a long time. There's some other people that were crypto Twitter personalities that have totally disappeared over the last couple of months. So there's definitely a large contingent of people that have disappeared off of crypto Twitter.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, it's just become a lot more positive. Like, the whole time for me, I never picked a fight with anybody. I never got, salty with anybody. It was just kind of, it is what it is. It was a fun place to hang out with some people that, became friends in real life. I'm really excited. Next week, I'll be in Los Angeles, going to see a couple of the Satoshi droppers there. Nice. So it's like, I happen to be in town for business, but, Crypto Wendy O droppers, she's going to throw a little get together at the Boomtown Brewery.
Shindig is the correct word there.
Yeah, a little shindig at the Boomtown Brewery. It's going to be at like 6 p.m. on the 20th. So if you're there, come say hi.
Nice. Well, yeah.
That's a little plug for myself. I don't know.
I got to be careful what I was about to say. It might have turned into a "that's what she said" joke. So, but anyways, it is so interesting to me, not being a person who comes from a financial background, not being a person who was heavily involved in the community of crypto. I've been investing in Bitcoin and interested in it since 2012, but I haven't been a member of the community really until about a year and a half ago. And, watching a full cycle, a bull market to a bear market, and watching the cycle and what that does to the community and what that does to Twitter, it just fascinated me. I remember I remember exactly where I was. It was in March, right? And I was at a local park. I was running, God forbid I were to do some exercise. Maybe the last time I exercised. But anyways, I was running at the park, and I was also, maybe I was fast walking at the time because I was looking at Twitter and somebody had done a poll. I was at a track, going around the track like a million times. And so somebody had done a poll like, okay, are you bullish or bearish? Now keep in mind, this was in March, like the most bearish of all months. Like the market had really gone down, and people were still living on that hopium. That last year is when we were getting the hopium, like the Chinese New Year, the bankers getting their bonuses, the tax season, the this, the that, the this, the that. And we were really thinking like one of those things was going to push the market back upwards. And somebody did a poll and asked, like, literally in March, is the bear market over? Are we about to go bullish again? And 70% of the people said yes. 70% of the people in March thought that the bull market was going to come back.
They were smoking that hopium.
They were smoking that hopium, and I was smoking it too. We were all smoking that opium.
Oh man, dude! Like you said, everything. Like, man, it's the first Tuesday of the month. Bull run. Nothing, right. Man. We tried it.
CoinDesk story about whatever. Oh, we're back. The market went up. But the market was more volatile. Like the market, until April. Like in April, it actually got back up to 10K. Imagine it got back up to 10K. And then it collapsed again. But the funny thing is at that time when I was still kind of new to this community and new to seeing kind of the sentiment of crypto, I was like, oh man, well, you'll just have people that are just bullish all the time. Like if 70% of the people were still bullish in March, then people will just always be thinking the next thing is going to happen. But what happens is a bear market comes in and it beats everybody down. It beats the bullishness out of you. So the funny thing is, last month, when I've already thought that in December we've bottomed, somebody put out a tweet and it was like, are you bearish or bullish? And like 70% of the people were bearish and said we haven't bottomed yet. And it was just so crazy to watch that mirror image from January from last March. And so recently what I've been seeing is now it's getting to be a little more 50-50. And, the last poll that I saw showed about 50% of people were bearish and 50% of the people were bullish. 50% of the people think, 50% of the people think we bottomed. 50% think we haven't bottomed yet. And to me, that's a good sign because that means that sentiment is moving back towards the middle. And, hopefully it will keep going over the center dial there and move back towards bullishness.
Oh, that would be great. And I think I think it's coming, right? It's like, like we talked about, like, things are starting to change a little bit in the markets. They're starting to rumble again. It's projects are actually starting to come out with like working products, so it's good to see. I know that, we still have a long way to go, but, it is good to see that people are starting to feel a little bit more excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's definitely a relationship between interest in crypto and the price. As the interest has been dying down, the price has been dying with it. And I think once we kind of start to see that interest in Bitcoin come back from new investors, but not just new investors, people that were a part of the community and now maybe they're not, when those people start coming back, those should definitely be good signs for crypto.
Well, you brought up something, pretty much along those lines before we went on air, where we were talking about the subreddit, yes, cryptocurrency subreddit, where you saw subs on that has like skyrocketed, right? I mean, not skyrocketed, but you've seen them go up a lot more than they have in a long time.
In relative terms, yes, a skyrocket is an appropriate word there. Now, The reason is because if you go and look at the cryptocurrency subreddit, which I believe is the largest subreddit in terms of cryptocurrency, or aptly named cryptocurrency. That's where it gets a little confusing. But anyways, basically their chart has been very steady. It has been a very slow incline ever since about February, right? Now, if you go back and look at 2017, you will see a very similar chart. The beginning of 2017, you will see a very slow incline. And then about the late summer, when things really started picking up, you saw that chart start to lift off, right? So ever since the bear market really started, we've been on that steady. And now there's a little blip at the end of that, where basically instead of going steady, it almost went straight up like a right angle, and if you look back at that chart, it looks like maybe the biggest spike away from the normal amount of subscribers they get per day, like the largest spike that they've had on the cryptocurrency subreddit. And so to me, that says that the interest is coming back. People are going, they're subscribing to the subreddit, and we need that. We need those new people because, that's the only way we're going to get crypto back on the upswing is to bring new people into the space. And that chart was very interesting. That, to me, that's about the most bullish news I've seen, in recent times.
Absolutely. I wonder what would have brought that on if it was, a particular article, or for just, interest in general is starting to come back. I mean, you see things like, they announced today, Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan Chase, they've got a stable coin coming out now. What's that going to do with Ripple?
Yeah, I'm still looking into that. I've actually made a video about it today. I've got to edit after we get off air here, but I'm not 100% sure how this what Jamie Dimon is doing, and it's called JPM coin, so JP Morgan coin. And basically what it is it's going to be a way for them to settle transactions between the banks, and it says they're wholesale clients. I don't even know what that means, though. I don't know what a banking wholesale client is. So I'm trying to do a little more research on that before I really start saying like it's going to be a true competitor to Ripple, because Ripple is trying to change the way we do cross-border transactions and the way that those are settled. But I'm not 100% sure what selling to their wholesale clients means for the JP Morgan coin. But some people have said that this does signal that the bottom has already come and that we're ready. When you have Jamie Dimon, ardent Bitcoin hater, saying JP Morgan is about to thrust themselves into cryptocurrency. But funny enough, they're not calling it a cryptocurrency. They're calling it a digital coin, even though it's an ERC20. It's on the Ethereum blockchain.
So it's a crypto.
It's crypto. Yeah. So
they'll have to come out and actually, I'm sure that'll become a point of contention amongst people if they refuse to call it a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I mean, it's just them being hard-headed. But you know what? That guy Jamie Dimon is brilliant. People give him a lot of flack. I'm not saying he's great for crypto by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a brilliant dude. He reminds me a little bit of Justin Sun, incredible marketer. Everything that guy does is tactical. If you think that he's out there talking about Bitcoin on a whim and he just, randomly one day is like, oh, you know what? I want to say something bad about Bitcoin. That's not true. He's coming out and he's talking bad about Bitcoin because he's trying to lower the interest, because on the back end, they're trying to do something like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It lowers the interest, lower the price. I mean, I think there's like a whole meme put together for this, right? Where like the one scene's him dogging Bitcoin, and then the other one is on his phone is like, what price did we get in at?
No, yeah. I made a funny look. Did you see my little video I made about it on Twitter today? I put it to the Spice Girls song, When Two Become One. I don't know if you know that song. When two become one. That's my singing voice right there. But
Nice.
It's basically Jamie Dimon looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin looking at Jamie Dimon, and then all of a sudden Jamie Dimon has Bitcoin in his eyes. It's pretty fun.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it'll be on my intro video tonight. But anyways, yeah, so but that brings up another good point that ties into the interest and the sentiment, which is, it seems like we could possibly have a perfect storm brewing in crypto right now for a bull market in the short term. And by short term, I don't mean tomorrow. I mean maybe in March. because March is the month when Fidelity is launching their custodial service. Rumors are that Bakkt is also going to be launching in March, which is going to include, I believe some custodial services, some institutional services, and also, Bitcoin futures contracts are going to be settled in Bitcoin, not in US dollars, which is a big deal. And there's also supposed to be some ways for, people to spend their crypto at retail stores such as Starbucks and maybe spend online with Microsoft. So it seems like those institutional instruments have kind of been holding off launching, but it seems like March is the month they're going to start. You've got Jamie Dimon coming out with this story here that they're creating a stable coin. You've got Facebook recently talking about, there's whispers, there's rumors that are pretty much confirmed. I mean, I would say they're more than rumors. They just haven't made an official announcement that Facebook is going to be creating their own stable coin that's going to work with WhatsApp. And then they're also going to be merging the Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and the Instagram Messenger. So you're going to be able to send that stable coin back and forth through the messaging service. So that's coming out. You've got the Amazon Web Services, their blockchain development platform that's coming out. People are going to be able to build on Ethereum or on the Hyper Fabric Ledger. That is actually coming out. They've released a preview this month for that. So you got a lot of these really interesting, kind of big name companies out there that are getting into crypto, whether it's, just some of the biggest companies in the world like Facebook and Amazon, or some of the, biggest institutional names in the business. They're all starting to jump in. It seems like maybe March is when we could possibly see all that start coming together. And I'll be honest with you, I'm starting to lean towards maybe by the end of March, we might be back up to even 6K. So
that'd be great, man. That would just be great. But, I feel that same kind of sentiment though, right? Like, there's projects that, when I was still working with the exchange, I had to kind of review and talk to project leads and devs and people all the time about things that are going on, would they be a good fit for the exchange and all that stuff. And it's just like, having all these conversations, like there's so much news, so many updates and so much news. Like, we used to see PR releases, 100 of them a day.
Yeah.
And it was like driving prices up because it was like, all right, news is like now people aren't even wasting money to put out a PR because it's not going to do anything. So there's all these projects that have all this crazy technology or all these, things that they're ready to announce, but just kind of waiting. And so, if we start to see, more people, and if we see, Fidelity and Bakkt show up in March, and then you kind of see the sentiment that we're talking about keeping increasing, we might start seeing these press releases come again. So we'll see all this news. People get excited. What happens when people get excited? They buy. And then all of a sudden,
we're on the way back up. Yeah. Well,
nothing can.
And if we want to get technical, like technical analysis type stuff or analysis, I'm not like really huge on technical analysis, but the funny thing is since I've gotten so involved with this community and education and making videos and things like that, I've actually gotten to where like I kind of understand it. Like I don't understand all of it, but there's aspects to it that I just get because I've seen so many news stories about it at this point. And one thing is a double bottom. And basically what a double bottom is that it kind of needs to bottom twice before it bounces back up. And is that my dinosaur TA video I did?
No, I did a TA on the BTT, and the way it's not showing up, but you can kind of see like where the dino head was. That
was perfect, huh?
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, it works. Cool.
In my TA video, I did a dinosaur head as well. How funny is that?
That is funny. That was the perfect dino head.
Perfect dino head. But the thing about it is the I think it's either the daily moving average or the 200. I think of the 200 week moving average, whatever it was. Basically, in December we had bottomed and bounced off that, and recently we came very close to bouncing off it again. It's so close that it might as well have bounced off of it again. So Crypto Daily did a video about it. I did a video about it. Kind of saying like, oh well, if this happens, if we get this drop, and sure enough, Bitcoin did drop pretty hard. And came very close to bouncing off that. So, was that enough to be considered a double bottom? Not really sure. but it seemed like it might have been. And so there's kind of some stuff on the technical side that indicates that we might be moving up as well. And here's another thing. This is something that drives me crazy, right? We talk about the different stages of a market, right? We talk about euphoria, we talk about disbelief, we talk about capitulation, we talk about accumulation, we talk about depression, we talk about all these different stages. Panic, right? And, when we look back at the last chart from the last bear market, people say we've now passed it. We've now been in the longest bear market ever, is what people say. But the thing about those stages is you don't really know exactly where those stages are until you look back on them, right? And so we may very well be well into accumulation at this point if that bottom was December 15th, but because we haven't started bullish going straight up, people are saying we're still in a bear market, but I honestly don't believe that we are. I believe that and it gets kind of semantical, but I believe you have a bull market, a bear market, and then you have accumulation in the middle, and that's where we're at right now.
Like a neutral market, right? It's your sideways market. Yeah,
your sideways market, right?
I would agree with you there.
And so when you look back at the chart from 2015, if you base that bear market on when accumulation started, and then you say, oh, well, we may already be into that, then this is not the longest bear market of all time. It's actually pretty comparable to many we've had before. So, the people that say we're still in a bear market are basing that on the fact that they believe that we have not bottomed yet. So, yeah, I don't know.
I hope we have.
I hope we have too. I hope this isn't the hopium 2 years from now. Remember when they said that the market had almost bottomed and now Bitcoin's the price of a diet root beer?
Oh, man. That'd be terrible.
It would be. But, another interesting thing about it all is, when you're looking at the interest and the sentiment is Google searches. And I found that this is very interesting. So I think that the subscribers from the cryptocurrency subreddit, I think that's indicative of moving in an uptrend, right? But if you look at Google searches, do you want to know when over the last, February? Over the last 4 months, do you know when the most Bitcoin searches were? What would you guess?
Do I?
Yeah, do you?
Over the last 4 months? It probably would have been a year from the all-time high of the year before, somewhere around there.
Incorrect. Which is interesting because, December 17th of last year was the all-time high, and December 15th this year was possibly the bottom, which is very interesting. But no, actually, the most Google searches for Bitcoin were done when Bitcoin dropped from 6K to 3K. Which, to me, that just really speaks of, there were a lot of people on the sidelines that didn't get in crypto that were saying that it was going to fail. And so when it dropped from 6K to 3K, they were very interested. They're like, oh, it's dropping. I told you it would fail. It's kind of like them wanting to see failure. And all of a sudden it came, and that kind of verified confirmed what they already thought was going to happen. So all of a sudden now they're super interested in it again. So I thought that was really interesting. When you look at Google searches on Bitcoin, it's not as much indicative of upward action when interest is there. Interest is really there when there's volatility one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'd like to, that'd be an interesting chart to actually look at and, compare it with like a price chart, right? With keywords or, search history and stuff, and kind of see how, if they correlate to each other, go up and down at the same time or however.
Yeah.
Because we did see, a lot of people that have gotten out of the space. But, if you see more people popping in and all of a sudden on a much bigger scale worldwide, you start seeing things, like some of these privacy coins are bringing in like IP masking and stuff. It's like, if you're in a country like China and cryptocurrency is banned, but you can, mask your IP and get involved. These are things that are starting to come out now. That opens up the door to, we know was a big market.
Yeah, and it's funny. These were things that I used to talk about in, a year ago when we were looking at like, hopefully the market turning around any time, was just looking at like, okay, what would it take for Bitcoin to hit $1 million? And the answer to me is pretty simple. If 25% of the world was using Bitcoin, it would hit $1 million. If it hit 100%, then I have no idea how high it would go. But, if 25% of people were using Bitcoin, I did a video where I worked math out on it. So it's still a little speculative, but I worked out some math on how it could get there. And, when you're looking at 25% of the world using Bitcoin, that's basically China.
Yeah.
If all of China or all of India used Bitcoin, then we would get there almost overnight. So,
do you you think like everybody would get like your goal would be to have one Satoshi because that's all that there would be available to you?
One Satoshi. Gosh, I always forget. I think if Bitcoin hits $1 million, one Satoshi will be worth like the equivalent of 1 cent. I think that's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because there are, how many digits are there in Bitcoin? 10 or 9 decimal places, right?
I think
or
so.
Eight decimal places. When it got to the 9th, it would be 1 million because you got to add your decimals for your dollars and cents in. So anyways, if you were to move that decimal over all the way to the left, one Satoshi would equal 1 penny, which is very interesting. I think that would kind of be a place where we could finally get the stability for Bitcoin. It would lose the volatility. At that point, basically the volatility would only be kind of like comparative to inflation. So some people think it can go as high as 10 million, and that's when we'll get the stability. But, I don't know. A lot of people don't think that we're ever going to get 25% of the people using Bitcoin. So,
well, I think, we see more and more, and you see the polls come out, who's going to start running the world soon? People from our generation and younger.
Yep.
And that's what we believe in. We don't trade stocks, we trade cryptos. We believe in technology. That was the world that, I was on the kind of the end of both spectrums. It's like I played outside as a child, but then as I got a little bit older is when we started getting technology. So, I think that as the generational gaps grow even more and, the older people come out of touch and it's all, the world becomes run by younger people, we are going to see more people that have faith in that system that will want to use it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm in my mid 30s. I know people that are younger are ready for it too. I mean, it's just a matter of time. It may not be, in the next 20 years, but it'll be somewhere around there where we're using that much. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is definitely, it's kind of like this, like when, people in the 70s, let's just say people that were in high school in the 70s, if they wanted to go find a book at the library, they would have to ask the library. You got to go in there. You got to say, like, okay, listen, tell me, where's this book? And not really the book.
What's that called? The Dewey Decimal System?
The Dewey Decimal System, like you try to use it, but it never worked. They had to show you how it worked. Like, I never understood it. Maybe in the 70s people did. But, like, it was that middleman, It's like, okay, I need information. Can you show me where I can find this information? And so the librarian would go help you, and you'd find the book or whatever. But the generation that's coming up now, like, they're used to cutting middlemen out. They don't need someone to help them. If I'm in Walmart and I need to find an item, like, I would rather Google, like, hey, what aisle in Walmart is this on?
It's faster.
Then ask the person that's standing right next to me, because half the time they don't know, and even when they do know, they got a legion, a wild goose chase all around the store looking for this thing, and I can just look up the information myself. Like, I don't need a middleman. And so there's a generation rising up that operates like that. Like, I'm probably a little more technological than most people that are my age. I mean, at 36, I don't know. Maybe that's I would say that. Obviously, I pretty much live on the internet, but
yeah, absolutely.
So I actually kind of lean towards operating the way that the younger generation operates in that way. Whereas I know people that are just like, oh, I just rather, talk to somebody directly or stop and ask for directions, or I don't know. Are there men that stop and ask for directions? But that's a different show. So I think there's a generation that's rising up, that is used to not needing a middleman for something. Mm-hmm. And so when you bring up the stock world, that's very interesting, because what is a stockbroker? A stockbroker is a person that can transact a stock transaction for you. even if you use something like E-Trade, right? E-Trade basically is your stockbroker. They're still in the middle of that transaction. And so you have this generation of people saying, we don't need someone like, I don't need a broker to buy something. But with stocks, the way stocks operate, you actually still do, right? But I just did a story this week where we talked about $544 trillion coming, into crypto. But it's basically just saying that like all of the world's real estate, all of the world's stocks, all of that stuff is going to get tokenized. So right now, if you want to buy one share of a company, you buy one share of a company. In the future, when all that is tokenized, if you want to buy 1/10 of one share of one company, you can do that. So, that's just kind of the world that we're moving to. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that the younger generation is going to play a big role in that and saying like, okay, why do we need you to do this for us? Like, we've got a phone right now. Shouldn't we be able to do this ourselves?
Yeah, it's like saying, I know that you've got solar and wind and, water technology that'll power things, but we're going to go back to the coal. Because, exactly. Come on now.
Who are you, Donald Trump?
Give me that. Yeah, right. Give me the Chris Carter. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Coal. No, I'm not picking on Donald Trump. I'm just saying that was a big rallying cry. I was talking about coal. So, there's people that still rely on those kind of jobs right now. But
it's true. I don't mean to dog on people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. In 20 years, that will probably be an obsolete business. It's just probably the truth. So.
We're looking for a house right now, and I think on one of my key searches is that solar, man. I want to cut down on that electricity bill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? So, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I think that's pretty much it for sentiment. We kind of covered everything we wanted to cover there. And I certainly hope that this episode is going to age well. I hope in 3 months that people aren't looking back at this episode and saying you were selling a bunch of hopium, and people are looking back at this episode and saying, man, that really was, when the market really started to turn, basically.
It'll either be zeros or heroes.
That's it. But you know what? Let me tell you about BitBoy. First of all, he loves to talk in third person. He doesn't do it that much. he doesn't do it that much, but when he does it, it's very effective. But BitBoy takes stances. I don't wish-wash with whatever, direction the current is blowing in. I stick to what I say. So I've said, I believe December 15th is the bottom. I'm sticking with that until we meet new lows, and I will say I was wrong. And I'm sticking with this with the sentiment. I think things are changing. I really do. So I'm going to stick with that. And then if I get proven wrong, then you know what? I'll admit I was wrong. So
the storm, she's a brewing.
She's a brewing. The volcano's getting ready to erupt. It's our rumbling, bumbling, stumbling.
There's so many metaphors you can use. It's great.
So many. Yeah. So, all right, Jay Chains. Well, big shout out to monarchtoken.io, sponsor of the Twitter shout out. They got some big news going on right now. Make sure you guys check them out, monarchtoken.io. You can get to all their social media pages from there. So I'm going to let you send us out, Jay Chains.
All right. Well, it's going to be an easy one. We'll see you next week. See you.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening to Beards and Bitcoins. If you like what you heard, show these guys some love and rate review on SoundCloud or iTunes. Also, remember you can always find the guys on social media. The show Twitter page is @BeardsBitcoins. You'll find direct links to BitBoy and JChains from there. Make sure you check for updates, announcements, and contests. Good luck to all who enter. See you next time.